Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 1139 of Screw the Commute podcast. Today we're going to talk about infographics, and no, they are not dead. In fact, they are way easier than they used to be. So that's what we'll talk about today. Hope you didn't miss episode 1138. That was ManyChat. I've been using it for about 9 years to automate things, and I've kind of ignored it because it runs in the background, but it'll do all kinds of cool stuff. So now I'm up in my game using ManyChat, and I'll tell you all about it in episode 1138. Anytime you want to get to a back episode, you go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number. And pick up a copy of my automation ebook, screwthecommute.com/automate free. Version 3.0 is the latest. Grab it if you don't have it. But guess what? I'm halfway to version 4.0, which will add a ton to version 3.0. So go ahead and grab 3.0 if you don't have it, and then watch for 4.0 coming out. And check out my mentor program, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, and my school at imtcva.org, certified to operate by Chev. All right, I taught infographics to my students years and years ago for a long time, but it was way more complicated. You had to think out every idea. You had to think out every piece of graphic and lay it out and put a little bit of text on to explain what's going on and all that stuff. Well, guess what? I just made 2 of them this morning. You'll see them in the show notes for this episode, 1139. And it took me, 2 to 3 minutes because I wanted 2 different versions to show you, one with very little text and one with more text. And, people will tell you don't put a lot of text on infographics, but that's not a blanket statement. They shouldn't be making that blanket statement. You should make multiple versions and run them against each other to see which one for your audience they like better. So you might have an audience that is more technical, engineering kind of analytical brain. They want to read more even though the graphics are there. And some just want, boom, hit in the face with graphics that tell the story. So don't believe that you shouldn't have text on them. You need to test with your market. All right. So an infographic basically is something that's visual that helps people understand stuff faster. Supposedly in the world, people understand visual stuff, especially if they're a visual learner, easier than text. And they're also easier to remember. And there's lots of things benefits of these infographics, and that they're more likely to be saved and more likely to be shared. So think about that, especially when it costs you nothing to make these things based on your information. Like I tell you how I made mine. And they're less boring. And it reminds me of John Caparulo, was one of my favorite comedians, stand-up comedians. And he's saying, I hate people who read. He says, we've invented better stuff than this. You got to see, I looked that up on YouTube. John Caparulo hates reading. So it's perfect for those kind of people. Now, there's so many uses for these things. I mean, you could literally spend a couple minutes on ChatGPT making them and then use them for months and months in different fashions. So I'm just going to read off a list of places you can use them. Blog posts, Pinterest, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, even YouTube community posts, which I just had a recent episode about that people were not using much. And somebody from Google said, hey, it's the most underutilized feature YouTube has. So you can use these in posts. They're very graphic oriented anyway. You can use them on sales pages. You can use them for lead magnets. show notes for podcasts, which is where I'm going to put these two different ones to show you the difference between a high text one and a low text one. Trade show booths even have them. Email newsletters can have them. You can print them out as handouts for things. People use them in press releases and slide decks. So there's just all kinds. You take a couple minutes to make one for your topic, and you could use it all those kind of places. And like I said earlier, it used to be a big production for me to teach somebody how to make these things. But now, I'll tell you how I made mine. I said, look, I want one based on my school, imtcva.org, and the fact that it can save you a fortune. I think I gave it the title, how to waste $200,000 in 4 years. Okay. And in 2 to 3 minutes, and I told it, okay, use my website to grab information from the school website, and use any custom GPTs and new projects that I had already put in there that had all about my school. But I could have just told them, go to the school website, and it has everything they needed right there. But I said, use all these resources, and I put that in a prompt. And I said, give me one that's heavy on text and one with very little text. And you will see them in the show notes for this episode. And again, one isn't right and one isn't wrong. You have to test to see what your market likes better. And sometimes you use both of them because you got a lot of different people in your market, say. Now, some advanced infographics that you can make. Some can be animated so that they kind of flash and move. Some can be interactive where you can click on certain parts and it expands to more information about that part of the infographic. And you can even tell it specifically make it for mobile phone viewing. If you know that your audience is 70, 80, 90% mobile. For years, more than 50% of people are seeing your stuff on mobile, but you may have a super high percentage, and so you can have it optimized for mobile viewing. So this is a really great thing for a little bit of effort. We're talking pretty much, even if you didn't have the custom GPTs and the new projects that I have in my ChatGPT, if you just gave them your website, if a lot of the information is on the website, give it some kind of headline so that, what angle of your product you want to promote. In this particular case, I'm promoting the fact that you could go the old route and go to a 4-year college and come out with heavy debt and no skills and pitiful job market. Or you could go to my school with very tiny debt, if any. You could put it all on a credit card, really, and a usable skill and not waste 4 years and all that stuff. So you'll see it when you go to the show notes, this episode 1139. So screwthecommute.com/1139. All right, so go out and make some infographics and use them in all these places. Like I said, for a 5-minute investment in time, you could get months worth of content. All right, so check out my mentor program, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com, where you get one-on-one with me and my entire staff, so we don't lump you in with a bunch of people more advanced or less advanced from you. And remember, I've been doing this 32 and a half years now, all right, online. I could have quit 26 years ago when I hit multimillionaire status, but I'm just a fanatic, crazy, and that's why I'm willing to talk to you, where a lot of these pseudo gurus tell you how rich they are, but they're having trouble making their car payment. All right, so check that out. And my school, imtcva.org, gives you a highly in-demand career in as little as 6 months, and we have people making money before they even graduate. So check that out, and you'll see that's the emphasis of these two infographics that I'm going to show you in the show notes for episode 1139. That's this episode. So go to screwthecommute.com/1139. Take a look at those infographics. Then check out my mentor program and my school, and I will catch you on the next episode. See you later.